changing the price scale for A, B, C, D, E?
That consistently comes up, yeah. As with everything, I mean, right now I'm worried about the licensing stuff and the things like these 1 days. Everything we do, I mean, cutting license prices, increasing insurance, got to be a little careful about balancing everything out. I think the question is one of fairness. I've always had a little bit of trouble with penalizing people for putting on bike races with more money. It doesn't seem quite right to me that if you have a $50,000 prize purse, we're going to charge you more. But do we go flat scale? It's the same thing we talk about with federal income tax. So it is being talked about. What's going to happen, I can't tell you right now.
Wouldn't it be better to go by the size or complexity of the event rather than the prize purse?
And how you do that is the question.
Either way, prize purse is kind of very good measure.
I'm completely agree. Yeah, but we are punishing people for putting on motorbike races. You do better, you get charged more. So, and a lot of that's been because they can afford it quite frankly. But anything you have cleanup wise that we can do smoother, please let me know. I think we do a pretty darn good job. You get an insurance cert on Friday at 10 o'clock for a race on Saturday, you get it to you. Not a lot of folks who can do that kind of stuff. And when Derek hired me, he said, "What's going good here?" And I told him that our vet service folks are really good. Stephanie, Felicia, and that crew. If you have any complaints, let me know, and I'll rarely hear anything.
The positive side, and I think it's new for this year, the club insurance for directors, those sorts of things, very reasonably priced policy. I priced it a few different ways. It was, it's good stuff.
Right. JD wanted to address the insurance. I was going to do it with the deck. I don't think we're going to get to. As you guys see, we have some price increases this year. I will tell you completely honestly, we are losing money on that. We are subsidizing that insurance this year. It tends to go up and down. And the way it works is we buy a big policy and we divide that out with the number of race days, everything else. If we had twice as many race days, we could lower the price, but we have more exposure to the complex bit that goes into it. The reason is we had some pretty big claims over the last few years. And I don't think we'll be able to really go into those, but we paid out some big claims in the last 2 years. I can tell you that these weren't race directors doing anything wrong necessarily. There's one or two you can tell a bit of race director action, but you'd be shocked, well, maybe you wouldn't be, about what comes in the door for claims. I mean, there were some things that I shake my head and we settle on because it's the cost of defense, but we've had some big ones. Just like when you're driving your car and you get into an accident, whether it's really your fault or not, your premiums are going to go up. That's absolutely what happened over the course of the year. We were a little pleasantly surprised it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. So, anybody again wants to chat about that? Any basic questions on the insurance?
The history is something that's being taken into account to help in the future, or is that not possible?
It's one reason we're pushing the safety guide. And our number one goal, not just from a financial perspective, is to make bike racing safer. I mean, I think we all agree on that. There is a financial component of that. Honestly, I think most of these claims we've had they weren't necessarily restricted to anything wrong. They were people got hurt and they saw an ability to collect money for it. And, there were some fatalities or some bad injuries when that happens. You guys know where we live in right now. So,
Chuck, is there any thought to instead, I assume it's spread over, everything, but different types of racing having different types of insurance cost structures?
we actually do. So it's not done by the type, it's done by Grand Fondo versus road race versus charity versus whatever.
But not road versus cross.
Correct. And some big claims we've had, I can think crit, time trial, crit, cyclocross, charity rod, and camp. Those are the big ones we've had, to give you an idea. So a charity rod, just as much as the time trial. Time trial was a rodder. I'll go over this real quick. A rider was warming up. They rode few miles away from the time trial course. It's actually somewhere up in this area. It wasn't in NEBRA, but you know, it was rode away from the riding on the road like we all do. I guess looked at his watch, decided he needed to get back, and he turned the middle of the road. It had on by a robber, killed instantly, and exactly. That was it.
Could happen on just, I went out for a run.
The race director possibly had a duty to provide a warm-up area and or sign the area if he thought riders would be unwarm up, is what the argument was. That one got settled in good court. So, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Or the, a lot. Not policy. Waiver is always helpful. But they probably should have got dismissed on some
One thing I noticed is I'm putting on the early season race this year, it's only on the website, it's only able to look at the 2018 insurance.
It's the exact same as the review about policy.
Right, but when I'm showing that to the town manager, he said, well, this is 2018, and I said, well, it's going to be the same, but it's better to see 2019.
I did literally just look on my right now, yes, have a carrier. So I can probably have a key next week with the vision.
Okay.
Somebody else have something? Okay. Yeah. Another one is, we're not going to get into the deck. Another one was Crit rider got warm up, riding off the road on PCH, was riding back toward the race miles away, and someone passed a recreational rider. Not because wearing race numbers. Passes on this recreational rider, somehow worked for exchange, and the allegation is the guy in the race bumped him and crashed him and broke some stuff. The guy sues the race, the chief referee, the city, everybody else. Yeah, settled down, not a big amount on that. But the guy who crashed was a personal injury attorney. But
I can see the line at the bottom of the thing now, recommend you warm up on the rollers or something.
and despite what was said online, we absolutely covered the chief referee who was rescinded his statement that we didn't cover.
Thank you.
So, yeah, after a long phone call. So if we have time, I'll go into some of those. They're interesting, and just to let you guys know what can come up. And you know, one thing we do is I always say when USA Cycling does, we do marketing, we do some cool stuff like the basic. As unsexy it is, we're in the business of providing streets and sewers for our sport. I worked in city government for my first job. You pay your property tax when your house burns down, the fire department shows up. When there's an auto accident, the police show up. It's streets and sewers. So I mean, a lot of what we do, as unsexy it is we provide officials, we provide regulations, we provide insurance for you guys. Those things aren't sexy until Monday morning. I'll let you guys check my email someday on Monday morning. This person did this to me at a bike race. I need someone. This person needs to be suspended. Safe sport, anti-doping, all that stuff.
I guess on a more personal impact level, in each of these cases, was the insurance enough, or did they go back? Were they successful in extracting a settlement from any of the race directors, the clubs, any sponsors, stuff
They all
like that?
settled for policy limits.
Okay, so the insurance effectively covered.
Correct, yeah. I can't think of a case now. Another one I'll give you a real example, a quick example. I knew we'd go down this path.
No, and I mean, like, for me, more like when you talk about the streets and sewers, that to me is the streets and sewers. As long as I'm not, grossly negligent, I just want to make sure that USAC and, is it Fairly or whoever is going to step in and protect us.
I will tell you 100%, whether you're a race official or race director, we will, including, we had a rod director, not a race director who ran an event, was doing part of it on a bike path, was told no by the entity that owned the bike path and proceeded with the event. And there was a pretty catastrophic injury of a jogger coming the way hit by a cyclist. We covered that. And if you read the stuff, you guys have to have permits and permissions. And if we hadn't, half you guys wouldn't do those because we become the race directors. So, what happens in the future, I can tell you, we take it very seriously. I appreciate that. We very much do. I'm out there as a race official and a race director. I'm under the same insurance. So If you have any questions, I mean, that covers race activities. We offer some ancillary, we have the cancellation, we have some other stuff, but it is to cover race activities. If you got an expo going on, we do have something we can help you with in the product, but that's not covered by your $4 product, make that clear. We can go into vehicles and stuff like that as well.
Quick question, Chuck.
Yep.
Officials and signers, we have coverage through NASA. Do we also have coverage through USAC?
You've got some, this is on the officials FAQ on the website. If you're doing assignments on behalf of USA Cycling, so if you're involved in the national process, you're covered by ours. If you're doing it for an LA,
Yes.
if NEBRA's got the standard USAC insurance, which I think you do, that should cover you as an assigner, as well as NASO.
Right.
So
Great. Thank you.
I'm 99.9% sure our standard LA stuff and standard LA insurance does cover you guys. It's in that document, the NASO stuff too.
If you're ever doing anything that's slightly out of the ordinary, you have an expo, if you have a beer garden, ask questions. Always make sure you're covered, because the list of case studies is just weird. It's crazy stuff that happens, and you always want to make sure that you're protected. If you're doing anything out of the ordinary.
If we have a few minutes, and JD lets me, I'll pull up some of those scenarios. Sort of the last thing I've got for a long-term initiative, more on the growth side is, we talked about Connecticut Academy today, and I'm familiar with that. Who in here runs various clinics? Women's clinic. Okay, everybody started doing the one-offs. She asked me about beginner racer program BRP. I think this is something we really need to step into as a national governing body. One thing I did, part of my background in the motorcycle industry, I used to be a motorcycle safety foundation instructor. Anybody ever taken an MSF class?
Yeah.
Okay. So MSF is pretty cool. It's a national deal. It's done locally. So it's a national organization. There's local chapters. It's required in some places to take, but I used to teach a basic class, and I'd have people show up on Friday who'd never stood over a motorcycle. Okay, and it's a little bit of classroom. You learn about fundamentals and cornering and all the stuff you learn about on bicycles. Basic parts of the bikes, real basic maintenance. You go out on the range, you practice basic skills on Saturday under a very controlled environment with loaner motorcycles. And then you advance a little more, and there's some benefits to it at the end. You get a lot of places, the DMV in your state will waive your need to take a test if you pass the class. I would really want to look at creating the same model with our sport and have a consistent, across the board, taught by our certified coaches that you guys can pick up very easily program. It isn't about how to race a bike. It's about cycling skills. At the same time, you get a soft sell of there's a cross race or a road race or even a grand final down the road. Maybe you get a free one day when you take it. And again, trying to pump people into events. The barrier to entry in our sport is not just the cost of getting a bike. It is, I remember showing up at my first road race going, what the hell do I do? How do I put a number on? Where do I park? How do I line up? Getting those skills across people in the classroom, the environment. So that's a couple of years down the road.
And somebody who is literally waiting to be okay for a land use to start doing a beginner's clinic for that kind of thing. NEBRA is willing to help out because they're willing to offer grant money specifically geared towards that. It sounds like you've got coupon codes which can help the whole ecosphere. As far as getting off the ground, that initial point is USA Cycling having the levers, incentives, mechanisms that can help that.
We do have, so we fund these guys with grants. So we've got a grant program right now that's on the LAs. I bring this up, I want to get interest from you guys. I think it's a good program, but I may be wrong. My feeling is this will be something that we actually run through our coaches generally. We've got 1,600 coaches who are certified. They're already involved in this basic membership. But, I think about my wife, who is a very recreational rider, and she was doing an MS 150, her sister has MS. This is something she would have done, paid $1,500 for a set. How to change a flat tire, how to have a baseline, etc. I think
Cycling, was that in America? Is it kind of like the effective cycling class that you do?
yeah, but I want to gear it a little more toward race stuff. So that's a thought of something we I think like to move board, but it's getting it all together and getting it all figured out. It has to be self-sustaining. We cannot keep funding that kind of program if it's big enough.
Curious, I know you talked about bringing the race promoting requirement back to clubs. Have you considered making hosting a clinic for a club mandatory?
Yeah, and I'm a little reticent to say you have to do something. If we put the mandate on clubs to do anything, hey, a lot of clubs are gonna do everything right, but it's like, oh, we gotta do this to get it over with. I'd like to use a little sugar instead of just a big hammer to do things.
You know, and I think there may be a middle ground there, which is, you know, and I hear you, incentivizing the coaching thing, but, you know, really what I'm trying to do is build membership for my club. And if I can, and it's not to say that there isn't value to this exactly. I think there is, obviously we're part of it, but if there's a way that there's a clear benefit to, you know, being part of a member club, I think that may be it. And so if there's I would just encourage you to think, if there's a way to channel that through clubs, you have a support network out there of clubs that have a mission to go out and get people engaged and learn these things. I think it'd be great if it were.
Which, by the way, is stronger here than the rest of the country, and which is a good thing. Yeah, maybe it's something to meet the middle and give each club a certified coach, like we do an official free certified coaching thing. So you have somebody on staff if you're interested who we train for. I think there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely think of folks in our club and bet you as well.
Would you ever consider adding that clinic process into the upgrade process? So if someone goes through this clinic,
It's already in there.
it's already in points, but even more substantially than, 4 to 3 is 20 points. You get a clinic where it's the way in which people are racing, as we saw in the cross, we need to lower that threshold so we get them upgraded faster, but we also need to ensure some safety aspects. So the idea of learning how to ride safely on your club rides and in the early season races just doesn't happen anymore. So we can get some actual safety instruction and etiquette instruction and give them credit for upgrade points. People will go out and try and buy those upgrade points.
Oh, yes, which is good for me. And I come from the era, I learned to ride collegiate. I raced off bikes. I came up through a shop club where I worked. My first racing on the road was my collegiate program. And the whole time it was a support network. I talked about going my first race. Well, I met the guys from my club there. They showed me how to put the number on. That's actually missing from a huge portion of the country right now.
Yeah.
It's strong here, but that is missing from a lot of country. I don't know that we're going to force clubs back into existence in a lot of areas. So what's the alternative? People now, they want to learn this stuff by watching videos, YouTube, and things like that. Not necessarily sitting there with a club in a lot of country. That's what we're being told. So. All right. Any other general questions? JJ, if you're good, I can blast through a couple of these scenarios. Yeah. Okay. Any other airing of grievances? You guys got that in your system already?
Good start.
All right, I'm going to run through a couple of these real quick for you guys. What's that? There you go. Kind of weird. All right. Love a presentation called lawsuit examples. It's a great way to start, right? So these have been relatively genericized, and I'll get into it. I hate PowerPoint, it's the only time I do it. So talk about race directors' cooperation in defense. So this is a mountain bike camp. Everybody talked about where we're seeing this stuff. So a minor crash at a mountain bike camp. USA Cycling, the camp director, the sponsoring club, and the mountain this was on were all sued. This was a pretty traumatic brain injury. Robert missed a turn, went into a piece of equipment. The camp director did not collect the labor from the minor. Okay. So the question came up earlier, what happens if I think we got a question about what happens if someone jumps in my race and crashes and they weren't supposed to be in there. You need to get waivers. You have to get waivers. That does not necessarily mean that for some external reason you don't get a waiver that you're not covered by the insurance. It makes it very hard to defend. A lot of places we hold that piece of paper up, Mary's lawyers will asked about it. We waive that in front of the judge and say someone took on the risk. We win a lot of stuff on summary judgment and just gets thrown out. This person accepted the risk of the sport. It's a risky sport. Get your waivers. So this rod director did not get a waiver from a minor, even worse. Okay. The camp director and sponsoring club did not contact USAC on service of the lawsuit. They were both served, or the club was, didn't hear from you. Okay. When you get served, you need to let us know because our insurance is your insurance and we'll provide the defense. Okay. Since no claim was tendered, the carrier denied the coverage. We talked about our insurance coverage. We had no idea about this claim. So this comes to the carrier like, what's going on? Currently, a default, this has since been settled, entered against them. So we didn't know anything. The judge hadn't heard anything. Party's unresponsive. Says you're guilty, right? You have to participate on that defense. Okay? If you guys have an issue, contact us. It can be me, it can be your in-service person. We will get you the right person. We have an in-house counsel. You have to be involved in that. And believe me, I have been on the phone for an hour with the race director who had a fatality in his race the day before. It's not pretty, but he was crying 30 minutes of the hour. It's really tough. Who's been sued in here? Okay. You're in this business long enough, it's probably going to happen. When I was in the event business outside of cycling, the stuff that came to the door just will shock you.
A quick question about waivers. Is it still all lending waivers for USAC?
I'll tell you that is going to change this year.
Okay.
We will be opening that up to others. Because I'm tired of getting a phone call from one race director who I know well screaming about the 1,200 waivers she has to print. She's another registration software. And it's the right thing to do. So notify us immediately if you have a claim. We'll get the process rolling. It takes forever. I mean, these will go on for a couple of years. And they're painful. I've gotten that letter twice in the mail for events. I will tell you both times they are absolute money grabs. And both times I won, but it is painful. So we notify the carrier, attorneys get assigned. We don't defend you. The insurance company does. There was some angst because the credit I was talking about, the race director and the chief referee were both sued and they ended up with the same attorney. There was no conflict. But sometimes the race director appointed the officials or vice versa. They may not accept the counsel for that. We actually don't defend you. Okay, insurance company does. Talked about this one. Rider warming up for time trial on the road, no designated area to warm up. Everybody uses their trainers now, right? Rider warming up on the road, pulled a U-turn, was hit by a vehicle, killed. Both us and the RD were sued. There you go. The driver and other witness testimony indicated the rider didn't look before U-turn. She also had some medication apparently in her system. She was also not insured. So who are they going to go after? The driver? Who had no money.
And this was the one that made pass. Okay, so.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think that had something to do with our defense, but we did not win on summary judgment. We couldn't, the waiver didn't work and we couldn't argue our way out of that summary. There you go. This is what came from the judge. Foreseeable rider will walk on the stretch of road where the plant is warming up. Therefore, the RD should have provided marshals miles away from the course. Okay. Maybe it's a good idea. You're not wrong. Okay.
Can you modify the USAC waivers to include a single?
No. Has it been done? Yes.
So the other thing I don't understand, having worked in an insurance defense firm, The absence of any other avenue for this plaintiff to collect may have also had some impact. Judges will be very sympathetic in those cases. They don't want to see the person walk out with nothing. This is summary judgment. This isn't a jury saying this. This is the judge providing an avenue for collection to sort of make the party go away.
And when we lost in summary judgment, I think the fear was this would set a precedent if it went through and the insurance company decided to sell. Large dollar amount, large. That's why you can take this for part of your 25% increase this year.
Chuck,
Yep.
if you stayed in your race flag, no warm-ups allowed on Route 9.
That could have helped maybe.
Does that help? Does it identify you?
I'm not a lawyer. I mean, the way I look at risk management as a layperson is I think about 12 people sitting in a box and you standing there with a waiver that says nothing versus we said on here not to ride on Route 9. That's the way I do risk management. Okay, lack of official warm-up. I talked about this. Non-racing cyclists riding this bike on PCH. Racing cyclists weren't that specific as how I tell where this was. Racing cyclists hit non-racing cyclists, and non-racing cyclists sued everybody, literally. Said that there was that we needed to, I had a duty to provide a warm-up area.
There were actually approved witnesses that said the racing cyclist not.
He was wearing a number.
But that he actually not.
I don't remember that. I wasn't. This is a little before my time.
This side was reasons.
Yeah, exactly. This is cost of defense. Okay. So that's 2 now for lack of warm-up area. So that answers your question a little bit. Roads are open. Maybe you just say roads are open, right? You're on risk on the flyer. Maybe you put signage out there. We had a race director talking about, we gave this to CX race. He actually closes the road next to the park just so riders can warm up because he's having issues with the ride through the neighborhood. So,
Chuck, we had an issue where a rider tried to claim, he said it was a closed course. And I showed the flyer that said roads are open to traffic. And someone in your organization, you said that you could use that, and that was last year.
great. One of the success stories.
Yes.
This is cross. Lack of course marshal. Elderly spectator to cross race alleges the marshal at crossing told him to go. Guy walks in the park every day, same way. All of a sudden there's a bunch of tape in his way. Marshal claims tried to stop spectator, but he walked anyway. Spectator was bumped by a rider coming through, fell and was supposedly paralyzed. This is another one separate. I've seen the video for this. We do not want to watch it. Elderly woman crossing a downtown creek course at a regular pedestrian crosswalk. Basically, what's that? Was it Danbury, Connecticut? I think it might have been.
Yeah.
Just a video.
She walked in the course, the rock was coming around the corner and hit by the whole field.
Yeah, I know.
There was no fencing and no marshal at the crosswalk, okay? And I've seen this, and she walks up to the crosswalk, sort of looks, nothing there, and how many people don't race down fast that Peloton goes around the corner?
These weren't quiet, too.
6 figures.
For the elderly.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So this is Shane, our lawyer, wrote this. He raced several races in Colorado. There were no marshals at official course crossing. So you're putting a course crossing there, which tells people to go, but you're not going to staff it. So what happens if someone gets hit there?
That's important. And as officials, we see that at every race. And understand that, you've got volunteers working those positions. And, you've done your due diligence to try to make sure everybody's there and that it's covered, and then somebody doesn't show up for their shift or whatever.
One of 2 times I've stopped a bike race as an official over the years, and I've worked hundreds of days of racing. Well, I say I've stopped the lightning and stuff, but one of the 2 times was a bad center line issue. The other was the volunteers all just went away. We're going to do like intersections with nothing.
Or your volunteers are on cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, not paying attention.
We had a hired police officer reading the traffic.
Oh, that's
Just check away.
So lesson here, we have an offense. If the spectator goes and does this between tape, double tape on a cyclocross course, or breaks metal fence and goes through, there's a defense there. It's tougher if you got unmanned sidewalks. So these are things for you guys to think about. A couple more of these. One is fencing. So I'll talk about this when we're done, but we had a crit race. Rider crashed headfirst in the fence. Basically, the fence did this, went headfirst in the edge of the metal fence, killed him instantly. The allegation was the fence wasn't set up properly, should have been fixed together. A lot of it, the bottom attaches, this did not, it was separate. So we've been talking about some guidelines that actually got written, there's some legal stuff, but this snow fencing, great way to keep fence together. The LA has it. By the way, we're going at a 10% discount for all restrictors on this stuff next week. Zip tying it, we're developing some padding to use our nationals to fit over the ends. Some of you may have seen. The thing with this one, I actually went and sat with this family during the settlement process and spent an hour on with them talking. I actually knew their son. I knew the family from way back. And you look at this and you look at the previous slide. This slide, because a lot of times we're at conflict when we do stuff. So those of you seeing the video of the lady walking in front of the Peloton criteria, the metal fence to stop that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you put metal fence there.
Then this
Yes.
And then this happens. So what I'll tell you again, I like to think about this as 12 people sitting in a jury box and me sitting on the stand. And when I get asked, what do you do about mitigating that crosswalk? Well, we put fence there. Well, why didn't you use this fence or have it attached together? That becomes a little more difficult to answer. So think in those terms. I know it's sort of depressing if you're out there, but it's a good way to look at the risk involved. And there's a huge amount of experience in this room about, most of you have raced, you've been on races, and put that to work. You know, I will tell you, when I started being an official, I'd sit behind a field on a motor and say, man, I used to do that. It is crazy out there. So look at it from a little different perspective. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the trade-offs, just comment on that on cross races. So you can, we actually tape our entire course, every bit of it, even the stuff that's pretty obvious just for, for the issues of crossing. The difference becomes, though, in the course itself, once you start spray painting rocks here and there, you've now sort of married yourself to the idea that you're going to now have every single possible hazard throughout the course in your family. So it's sort of this thing where, okay, do I do the course alone, or do I,
And that is, I'll tell you guys honestly, that's one of the reasons we don't have a comprehensive how to promote a bike race book. Because if we have a book that says you must spray paint every rock on a cyclocross course, and you don't,
which you can't,
right? Then we're going to be sitting there explaining why you didn't follow this manual we have. And we've taken a viewpoint lately that it's much more important to keep riders safe, and we feel like it's our whole obligation to create those guidelines. Now, they're not going to be have to do, must do. It's going to be a lot more of the best practices, guidelines, things like that. The other part is, anybody ever read that waiver we have? I mean, this is a risky sport, and people are acknowledging that they're in good health, they understand the risks, and we need to do what we can to, within reason, mitigate those risks. See, this works.
So, talking about risks on out of course, I'm relatively new to being chief rep. I only just started being chief rep for road racing experience last year and cross races before. And when I was going through the process of like how to be a chief rep, and I was talking to Chris Constantino about going out and doing course inspections. And it sounded like we have a sort of culture here. We only have a chief rep going out to do pre-event course inspection when there's been some major change to the course relative to the previous year. Is that just a quirk of who I was talking to, or like, yeah, like for the rest of you, do you normally have your chief reps doing inspections?
Absolutely.
I mean, as a chief rep, as a fellow official, that's part of our job.
Absolutely.
Right,
It should be
so
a-
that's what I do, but I'm just one person, and I've only worked races.
I don't want to rat anyone out, but it's extremely inconsistent.
Yeah.
Chris, when you did our race, absolutely walked over the entire day. No other race ever.
Okay, who's responsible for the overall running and safety of the event?
Didn't have the subsequent.
Question, race director. Who's responsible for the sporting aspects of the event?
Chief rep.
Chief rep. Between those, there is overlap, and the chief referee has the ability for our regulations to stop, cancel. I mean, there's a whole list of things, stop or cancel or to pop them if they feel like it is unsafe or the sporting aspects aren't being met. So I would encourage any of the chief refs. Now, are we going to walk through and say we're shooting portalets as referees? No. Yeah. We have some that do.
I would say it gives a shit.
Just one guy today. Are we going to tell you we're picking food truck? Are we going to tell you we're going to name the sponsor names? No, but should we do a course walk with you and point things out? Yeah, I think that's part of the chief referee role.
We're going to cover a little bit of that in our.
Okay. So they're hearing you and they've got an official seminar. I'm not going to have to talk about that. But remember, as a race director, you are ultimately responsible as the race director for the safety and running of the event. If the chief referee feels something's really unsafe, they can until you fix it. Okay. Yeah, I worked plenty of UCI state races, point-to-point, 120-mile stages. Are we going to be able to survey the course? No. So there has to be some judgment there in regards.
I was working a UCI race and a rider hit the fence and split and got injured. And I was talking to the UCI president. He told me that USAC is looking at getting away from hard fencing for certain kinds of races. Do you have
Well, that was based on that. Not looking at doing away with it, we're looking at mitigating the risk involved in using it. And what I told this family of this young man who died was, we cannot think of the number of people who have not been injured because a car or a pedestrian did not come out to the course because there was fence there. You can't prove a negative. I'm fully convinced the benefits of having hard fence if done well far outweigh the risk involved.
Every now and then someone's going to die wearing a seatbelt, right? But overall.
So we do have some guidelines, and I'm sort of waiting on some legal interpretations.
So that's kind of the whole legality.
You guys have any other general? I mean, this is helpful. Not scary.
I'm glad you went over that. So.
Yeah. I like to do this instead of our insurance provides this. Any questions for Stefan? And I'm going to hang around as long as you guys see. I'm not flying up the mark. So. Yeah. One final.
We're
kind of about 30 minutes. We're going to take a quick drive and then seminar.
Sorry, so I'm just gonna wait on it. I'll check that later.
You staying over there?
Yeah. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so hello, everybody. We've met many of you before, but some of you we haven't. So we just wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Wiegand,
Elisa Wiegand.
and we are the NEBRA officials coordinators. And just want to give you an overview of kind of what we do and what our process is. So for any race event that's put on in NEBRA, what we do is we have to assign officials for those races and events. And there's some guidelines of how we do that that we wanted to share with you so that you have an idea of what goes into coming up with the crew that works your races. And we also want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to have some input on that based on your needs. These are in no particular order, by the way. But what we do is we we put, based on the calendar, we have an assignment tool. We put each event in with the general number of officials that are needed. Obviously, every race is going to need a chief referee and a chief judge for results. And then after that, depending on what type of race it is, the categories, and the size of the races, things like that, we come up with a number also based on past history. How big was your event in the past versus what it's expected to be this year. So in that tool, we put the races in and we put out to all of our officials in New England that are eligible, that have active licenses. They have to, just like racers and race directors, they have to be, up to date with their licensing for all the different areas. So we put that out and they put in their submissions and say, yes, I want to work this race or I want to work that race, and all that. So that's one of the pieces. The next thing that we look at is, well, how far away of the pool of people that put in, how far away are they from your event? We do try as best we can to minimize the cost to the race directors. That is one of the primary things that we look at when we're looking at all of this now.
Spend a lot of time.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out this jigsaw puzzle that is, who says they can. You would think that if it's in their backyard, that they'd be the first ones to go, yes, I can. And it turns out that they're away somewhere else that weekend because they've got something else going on. So that comes into it. And again, this year, as JD and Chuck both mentioned, that the mileage rate is going up to the IRS standard this year, which it hasn't changed. And I've only been doing this for 5 years, and it's always been the same, so it's been a lot longer than that. Another thing we look at is the level of experience of those officials. We try to make sure that we have a group of officials that has worked that type of race before, has good history, and has experience working those types of races, and depending on whether they're the chief rep or a lower level official. We have to look at how the crews work together. Just like race directors and bike racers, we don't always get along with each other. There are some factors to that. So we have to make sure that
We try to put the best crew together so that we are having fun, because when we have fun, your riders have fun, it's a good event for you.
Yeah. So
that's our goal.
Right, we try to do that. Another thing we do look at is promoter requests. You guys absolutely can have input to who does work your race or doesn't work your race. It's your event, and ultimately, we want to make sure that we're giving you what you need and what you want. So everybody pick up your pencils and write down assignments@nebra.us. That is the email address, assignments@nebra.us. If you send an email to that address, that goes to both of us, and just tell us your requests. If you have any specifics, like I really like so-and-so, I worked with them in the past, I worked really well. I unfortunately didn't like working with this person, please don't put them on my event. We hope that's not the case, and we'll address that as it comes up. This is only our second year that we'll be doing the assignments. Last year was the first.
And we're still talking to each other.
Yeah, which is amazing. But it takes a lot, and we learned a lot last year. This is part of the reason why we wanted to be here this year to give you some of this information.
I'm just curious, who was doing assignments before you?
Kristen Mills.
Kristen Mills.
Okay.
Did it for I think 3 years, and then prior to that was her mom, Diane Fortini. She did it for however long prior to that. Years. Yeah. So this is our second year of what was a 2-year commitment with NEBRA. And so we learned a lot last year, and we want to improve the process this year. Part of that is working a little more closely with the race directors. Another thing we have to look at is races on the same day. As we discussed all before, can be a challenge. It's a challenge for us too. There was a weekend where there was 3 cross races on the same day last year, and that was really tough for us. It's tough for you guys to get bike races. It's tough for us to get officials to work those bike races when they're all on the same day. So that's something that we look at. And then race history too. How many officials did you have last year? Was it the right number? In the past, maybe you had one too many officials and your numbers are down. something like, a multiple category road race, if you're having, the same number of categories, you're gonna have to have the same number of officials, especially if they're all out on the road at the same time. There's not really a way around that. But if you cut a category, you need one or two less officials, then, we need to know that, for this year.
One of the challenges we do keep in mind, again, we said mileage, one of the challenges we've had this past year is the same, we haven't had the pool of officials putting in for races for various different reasons. So we've had a few officials that have come from a distance to work your race. That's because there is no other option. There was nobody else that we could get for that, and for that particular position. So we are working on we try very hard to educate our officials, especially our motor officials, because we do have so many of them, to get them to be on the ground and well-rounded officials. We are doing that. We have a official symposium coming up in Danbury, Connecticut, March 16th and 17th. We're organizing that along with Tony Philpin and Jeff Poulin from New York, the NEBRA president, for further education and growing officials that we have, so that we can all have a better day out there.
We can talk about this.
Oh, yeah. So this year we are concentrating on ground officials. So we are promoting a C official class on Saturday, taught by Jeff Poulin, who's taught it the last few years. We are not doing a new motor official class. And the 2 days, while we had the C class going on, we also had advancement classes for us existing officials. It's a great opportunity as a club you have people that are interested in officiating or being a bigger part of your organization to come out and take that C class.
One of the things that USA Cycling offers is for clubs, you get in the structure of the program, Chuck tells us is still, they're changing it a little bit, but basically every USA Cycling club can basically get a free first-year license for a C official to take, if they take a C officials class.
We have Tim Carey, who took advantage of that with last year.
NCC.
NCC.
And so, if you have somebody in your organization that is interested in being a C official, Brian, you got it last year as well online. So if you have somebody in your organization that doesn't race, or even if they do race and they want to become a USA Cycling official, so that they can work at your event as basically as a free official, if your organization doesn't want to pay them and they accept not being paid, you can do that on a volunteer basis at the lower level positions of assistant judge and assistant rep. Think about sending them to that seminar. What's the date on that?
March 16th and 17th in Danbury, and it's the New England Official Symposium. It's on Bike Ridge.
Yep. If you search for symposium on Bike Ridge, it's the only thing.
And then the C.
Yeah, that'll be on
Yep, there's
Saturday.
an option on there.
I think it's $35.
Right now, the sign up is $35 for the clinic for that day. It goes up, I think, February 1st to $40. Oh, that was insane. It's going to be $35.
Would all participants not get their
Yes.
city home?
They would, yeah. At the end of that day, they would be C officials. Yep.
You can do that online at any time, but we're transitioning the club sort of sign up to a new system. Just be aware during that time, the link to get this free club officials license will probably be down for quite a bit, and we can absolutely do it manually. So just email us here. Yeah, we'll get you set. I know it's going to be a little painful, but the goal is that these officials, besides filling our core, are there for you as race directors and club members to work your race hopefully for free. And I think we are moving away from it being a first year only to just being a C license good for one person in your club consistently. So that same person can get it year after year. There are a few hoops you have to do the state sport background check. Along with that, it's good for 2 years, and I think after gymnastics, no one questions that quite as much anymore as they used to. So.
And also, if you do have somebody that's interested in becoming a C official and coming to that class, have them saved for Sunday. They can't, the knowledge that we have, the lineup we have, the agenda, the prep that you have set up should be really valuable. So,
Send an email, I'll talk to you.
yeah, that's great. Dave?
Sorry, there are some people that are also officials now, just go based.
Yes,
Yeah.
if they're already city officials, yes, they should absolutely sign up. There's the regular officials, training, we'll call it. It's a symposium, many different topics. If they're already city officials, yes, then we have 2 days worth of content. It would be very helpful.
It's also, I think, for
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a single class in a separate room on Saturday for newbies who want to become a city official. And then in a different room, both days, we've got content going on for already officials like ourselves, like Brian. And we're going to have representatives from USAC there as well to talk about some stuff there. We've got other topics that are sort of specific for officials.
We also have, NEBRA official summit, February 24th, next year. So that'll be
That's the
helpful too.
freebie.
Yeah, now it's slightly,
Symposium.
different option for, a little bit more about, the official working within the union and how we'll be, helping interact with our promoters, some best practices. So that's nuts and bolts, appreciation.
Customer service.
Policies, customer service.
The other part with the education and trying to get people learn different positions is we have always believed in apprenticeship, and that's how I learned a lot of my officiating, and we try to encourage that for people to come to your races and be an apprentice. So we built that into the tool as an assignment request, and we asked and we will ask the chief reps to make sure that you folks know when you have an apprentice there. They usually aren't in the blue and tan garb, but at least somebody else is there. It's a learning experience for them, and we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
To do that.
And the important thing is it's of no cost to the promoter in those situations. The idea is that it shouldn't cost you anything, but we get an extra body for the day. They learn, we get extra help. At worst, it might cost you an extra lunch, throw them a sandwich, we'd appreciate that, but, you're not paying the mileage, you're not paying them their daily fee. And the chief rep is generally the one that sort of is responsible for working with them and getting them where they need, and all that. But we want to make sure that you guys are aware that we are continuing to educate as much as we can. And the best way to do that is at a race. We do appreciate that. And we're working towards trying to do that at every race as we have new officials. And I know, Tim has did it, probably half a dozen times.
Very helpful.
All last year in different races where he was an apprentice. The apprentices don't get paid either. It's not that it's not just that you're not paying for them. They're doing it for free. That's a good thing.
One topic that came out of last year's promoter seminar was you would like to know who your chief rep is that assigned to your race. Starting out, we kind of didn't get a chance to do that during road season. We started up during cross, and it was helpful to those who had. We would send out the email to you and the chief rep, do the introduction, let you know that they'd be reaching out. We are going to do it again for the whole season this year. So
That's great.
as soon as we make the assignment, you'll get the email.
Because I had to reach out to the reps I know, you didn't check, you can't check the website? No.
No.
Oh, I see.
No. Yeah.
No one's signed.
Yes.
And so yeah, that's a big thing is getting the RDs and the chief reps talking to each other early enough in the process.
Just set expectations, how far in advance am I likely to get? When should I worry and start voting?
Right, so first of all, I would say that if you have a question of, how come I haven't heard about a chief rep or anything like that, send us a note at the assignments.
Okay, it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks out.
It should be longer than that.
Longer than
Again,
I'll panic at 4 weeks.
Yeah, as the race schedule is up, just went up yesterday, I guess. So we're gonna start our process. So within, a little bit, we'll start working from the beginning of the season and what's permitted and work our way through the season. We try to do like 2 to 3 month blocks, 2 halves of the road season, and then the, cross season, is what we did last year. It kind of worked, but again, it was new to us, so we're kind of working around that. We learned some things, and we'll try our best to get that as soon as possible. I know that there's the races that are coming up in March. Like the Chris Hines. I already got contacted 2 weeks ago.
John started that.
Yeah, but he has permitted and all that. He's like, okay, it's January, right?
Is there a way that I can see that Chris
If you're an official, yes. If you're an official, and we can walk you through where that is and how to get to that, but yes. So as an official, you have the ability to go in and look at any race and see what the assignments are in past and present. You can go back a couple of years and look at that as well. And we can easily walk you through that, give you some instructions on it. Yeah, so, the Northeast Officials Symposium, if you have somebody that's interested in your club, certainly encourage them to do that. And, again, contact us through assignments@NEBRA.us, and we're happy to, start conversations and direct you where you need to be. Any other questions? Great, thanks for your time.
That wraps up all of our official, so we're running pretty late to get for 1 year. Certainly stay around if people have questions. Discussion if there are topics that people want to keep going on. Or not interested, or we can release you guys. Send everybody on. Again, I want to start everybody coming out. I know it's a winter, it's a long drive for a lot of folks. And staying in the all day talking about bike racing it's a challenge. So we really appreciate it. We really appreciate all of your support, putting on the events, putting on the teams, all the stuff like that. So thank you. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Already sent you my grant. I saw that.